So once again, I'm bringing you guys some more Last of Us multiplayer gameplay, and it's just me playing a party of friends, and I'm going on a pretty nice tear with the hunting rifle slash military sniper. I blow some faces off, but I'm not really here to talk about my gameplay. I'm here to talk about the Last of Us multiplayer at a competitive level, or competitive play, team on team or whatever. And one thing right off the bat is the game kind of initially does kind of give this vibe of, being a strong, potentially competitive platform for such a thing. I mean, it kind of has a slower pace, which might deter some people from, wanting to play it very much or whatever. But I think the fact that it kind of rewards being smart, being tactical, punishing stupidity, having to work together as a team, that combination in and of itself kind of just gives some red flags and signs of, hey, this could be something competitive. But I think my overarching question throughout the entire video that I'll answer is, does gameplay alone carry a platform to be something competitive? And I think one thing I've been talking about with some people about like how it's being played competitively, I mean, the only site I really know of that's probably supporting this game competitively, I guess, is FN or whatever, Frag Nation, is the gameplay itself is fairly good. I mean, one thing I have to say is the reason it's good is because obviously the single player gameplay is really good, and it's pretty much identical. I mean, the crafting system is the same in the single players as the multiplayer. The aiming feels identical. Even the pace is pretty much the same. I mean, it's kind of funny because I tried rushing or whatever and getting into shootouts in the single player, and it never really worked out. I usually ran out of ammo. I usually just wound up sneaking through almost every area. I haven't really pulled a sneaky match in the multiplayer. I don't really like stealth everyone from behind, but that'd be pretty cool. But like I said, I had to be a little bit smart in the single player. I had to pace myself, and you have to do that in the multiplayer as well. You can't really bum rush it or whatever. You kind of have to be a little bit smarter. You have to work together with your team. You have to pace yourself, and I feel like that deters some people from enjoying, but it certainly hasn't really affected my enjoyment of the game. At the same time, I've been talking to some people about how matches have been played competitively, and from what they've been told, it's pretty slow paced, slower than what you'd usually see. It's pretty campy, and a lot of times they don't even reach the 20 kill count, which, I mean, that in of itself, if it sounds half as bad as what people are saying, then I can't even believe people are actually wanting to play this game competitively. I'm kind of baffled at that. And I feel like some people really don't understand the fact that when something is competitive, like whether it be a game or even a sport, one huge part of like how successful it is like the support from the fans and the spectating side of it. Like if nobody wants to watch it, it's really not gonna like explode or be huge. I mean, I know some people believe that competitiveness is about competition and stuff, and I agree. It's about the heart of the competition. At the same time, it's not really gonna go anywhere if there's no fans, if nobody wants to watch it. Like I said, a lot of people like watching League of Legends. A lot of people like watching COD competitive. I'm not really sure how many people are really gonna want to watch The Last of Us competitively. I mean, the fact that it doesn't have cinema mode already kind of like minimizes how many people can even share matches in general outside of those who are fortunate enough to have capture devices. But honestly, who really wants to watch these like super slow paced matches? I mean, yeah, some people say, oh, it's tactical and stuff, but from what I heard, it's just super campy, and usually it's like they don't get barely any kills, and they're usually just like cheap, quick Molotovs that they manage to get, and that's pretty much it. That's the entire match. Two teams camping it out and flinging shit at each other, and we'll see who comes out on top. And it's just super slow paced. It sounds super boring, and I'm baffled anyone honestly wants to play it competitively. But nonetheless, from what it sounds like, I don't think anyone would really want to watch it or even spectate it. And I think that's another issue, is the fact that there is no cinema mode, and I don't really think they'll be able to add it. I mean, if they could, they probably would have been in the game, but I don't see it as being technically feasible. Just like in Uncharted 3, we were barking up Naughty Dog's tree for spectator mode, and they never gave it to us, probably because it wasn't technically possible. But at least Uncharted 3 had cinema mode, so I mean, people could at least watch matches. And the thing is, without like having like a theater or cinema mode, people are gonna dispute matches competitively left and right, and I've been told people are already doing that. And pretty much the only way to pretty much prove if you won or not is maybe take a picture at the end of the match or whatever, but you could probably edit or fudge that shit, and maybe have like both teams running their capture devices if they have someone on their team with one, but I'm not really sure everyone has that type of luxury to have like capture devices running at the same time, or both teams even have people like that. So I mean, these are some pretty huge hurdles and obstacles already, hindering The Last of Us multiplayer from being competitive. And it's not even gameplay related, because I think the gameplay is perfectly fine for competitive play. It's just there's nothing else supporting this excellent gameplay. There's no structure. There's no beams holding it up. There's nothing. And another thing I found funny from what I've been told is the fact that there's only 2 modes in The Last of Us multiplayer, and they're competitively apparently they're only playing supply raid, which I find a little bit odd. I mean, you've been given 2 modes, which is, I know people have been saying this multiplayer is bare bones, but after spending some time with it, I do feel that is still a little bit generous calling it bare bones. Is you guys have been given 2 modes, and you're really only gonna play supply raid competitively. Why aren't you playing elimination exactly? Like, I'm not really sure whose thought process that was. I'm not really sure why they thought this would be a competitive platform in general outside of, yeah, the gameplay is great for competitive play, but that's it. You just got some great gameplay and little else. No custom game options, like nothing. No cinema mode, nothing. There's nothing here outside of some strong gameplay. And the only reason it's strong is because it's pretty much identical to the single player. And like I said, I kind of question why they'd even bother to. I mean, it's pretty much the same people that did Uncharted 3 competitively. I mean, if you look at the ladder, it's pretty much the same teams, the same people. And honestly, I'm surprised they're even bothering to waste their time supporting this game competitively when outside of this excellent gameplay, which like I said, there's nothing wrong with the gameplay. There's little else here to, you know, get people's attention, and I sincerely doubt people are going to watch those like super serious camp fests. I mean, Uncharted 3 TDMs were camp fests, but at least Uncharted 3 had objective modes that you could, you know, watch. It'd be a little more frantic, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more interesting to watch in my opinion. But this has no such luxury. It's just 2 modes with killing, and people usually are pretty campy in public matchmaking. Like I said, I can only imagine what it's like when you get 2 competent teams together, like how fucking snores fest it is, and I've already been told it's snore fest. I mean, say what you want about Uncharted 3, that yeah, the gameplay is kind of scrubby, you know, with the whole hipfire thing, and this game doesn't really have the issue of any scrubby mechanics. There's no hipfire. Some people might complain, oh, Molotovs are cheap or whatever, but there's very little bullshit in this game. That's probably because there's very little in this multiplayer game in general. But like I said, you can say what you want about Uncharted. At least it's a little bit more, like, you know, faster paced or whatever. At least there's more options in custom games, which initially there weren't, honestly, in Uncharted 3. And we eventually got them after begging Naughty Dog for quite a while. But if you go back to it, there's quite a bit of breadth in terms of like, what you can do in private matches or customs in Uncharted 3. And there is no such thing in The Last of Us. There's nothing you can do in private games outside of select the map and start the game and switch teams. That's pretty much the only options you're going to get in, you know, private matches. And like I said, there's no modes outside of the 2, and people are apparently only playing supply raid competitively. And I know people have been saying, oh, well, they could add mods down the road with DLC. I know they're going to apparently add some co-op Infected, which doesn't really relate to competitive play, but I know people have been saying they should add like a capture the flag-ish thing, or like I said, capture the supplies. Both teams have supplies and you try to grab them, and I feel like that'd be perfect. But then I thought about other modes outside of that, and it didn't really add up in my head. I mean, first of all, objective mode tend to be a little bit more aggressive, kind of have to push, and you really don't start off with much ammo in this game. You can start off with like 7-ish bullets right off the bat, and you need to adjust the starting ammo count for objective play to even really be feasibly possible, and that would require, you know, options in customs, which clearly we don't have, and I'm not sure we will. Maybe we will. We'll have to wait and see. But we'd have to adjust, you know, starting ammo. You might have to adjust respawns as well for objectives. And when I thought about, you know, what people have been saying, maybe some domination or whatever, domination is kind of a basic campy-ish mode in general. You just capture 2 flags and you hold it down, you defend it. So I'm not really sure that would be particularly exciting to watch. I thought about King of the Hill, and then there'd be the issue with ammo. So like I said, they'd have to give us more ammo. They'd have to give us the option to tweak starting ammo or something for objective play to even really be possible. And like I said, the capture the flag thing would probably be perfect and be in the essence of the whole theme of The Last of Us in general, but we'll just have to wait and see if that happens. We'll see if any other modes happen, but honestly, I'm kind of skeptical if Naughty Dog would even bother supporting this multiplayer in general. I mean, I do feel like the gameplay is excellent, but I do feel like it was pretty much rushed considering there's only 2 modes and no cinema, nothing in private. And I'm not really sure if they really would waste their time like supporting it, because I mean, I'm sure Naughty Dog is well aware of the reception they've been getting for this game, and it's pretty much all been geared towards how amazing and breathtaking the single player campaign is. And not a lot of talk has been said about the multiplayer, even though I feel like it's pretty good considering there's only like 2 modes or whatever. It's not really bad, honestly, but I know Naughty Dog is smart. They must realize what their selling point is for this multiplayer game. And I'm not really sure that they'll really support all that much from the fact that they have a season pass. One of it's going to be like single player expansion, and the other is going to be two DLC multiplayer packs, which maybe modes, maybe maps. But outside of that, I'm not really sure how much Naughty Dog is really prepared to support this game's multiplayer. I'm sure they're fairly busy working on titles for the PS4 or whatever. I mean, we're at the final stretch of this generation of consoles, and I'm not really sure why people really care to waste their time supporting this game competitively, because I mean, a few months from now we'll all be on the PS4, at least I will anyway. Maybe there'll be a few people sticking around on the PS3, but I certainly won't, and I'm sure Naughty Dog certainly won't be sticking around on the PS3. They'll have their full attention on the PS4 and their next titles, and I mean, like I said, the gameplay is excellent. There's nothing wrong with it, and I feel like there's little else supporting the gameplay, and if anything, The Last of Us multiplayer really tells me is that I'm super stoked for The Last of Us 2 multiplayer or whatever. I mean, there's no way Naughty Dog's not gonna make another game like this, considering the such positive reception they've been getting. There's just no way, and I feel like with the next Last of Us, if they really take their time in the multiplayer, it really could be something special and spectacular, considering the core gameplay is excellent itself. They just need to add a little bit more to the overall multiplayer in general. But that's about it for this commentary. I'm curious to hear your feedback, what you guys think. Just leave your thoughts and comments below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
That's a really hot noise.